I guess I'm back with another video again. Hello. I think me bareface when wearing pajamas is going to be a very recurring theme in this channel for a while. Today we're going to talk about academic stress and burnout and how I deal with it. I got introduced to the concept burnout when I was first 13 years old, and the term burnout was very weird because I already know what it means when I'm tired of something, when I'm tired after a long school day, when I'm exhausted, that's when I'm like super duper tired. But burnout, that was a new term. And I wish I hadn't got to experience it, but I did. And it was because for these reasons. Let's circle back to the start of 2020. Or like the Q4 of 2019. I was pushed by my English teacher constantly to go on these storytelling competitions and shows. I feel like I couldn't take a break while I was in that time window, when I was in that spot. It feels like it just keeps going on forever and ever. And granted, I went on at least, I think about 4 storytelling competition, and I won 2 of them. And it's honestly a really good ratio because that means that I'm pretty lucky in that area aspects of my life. And everyone who was in the adjudicator there seems to like me, so I just keep going. So the storytelling competition that I went through, of course, I was living in Indonesia by this point. The theme is also always about like traditional folklore tale. And what I would do is that there was always like an English script online, and I modified myself to make it my own script of the said fairy tale. And it would always be like a page full, and I would memorize it all. Every movement, every expression, every character, dialogue, I would memorize it. And after that, I would wear this costume and I would, storytell to them, to the judges, for like at least 5 to 8 minutes. And it was a skill that had to be perfected. And I don't know why, but my English teacher wanted me to really dramatize it and want me to fucking scream whenever the character gets emotional. I have to like do it for like extra effect. Well, clearly it worked because I won 2 out of 4. But it comes at the cost of my burnout. I'm not saying this because I'm ungrateful. I'm just telling it how it is. There's a dark side to every good things that happen in life. I remember that I always have to skip class because we constantly need to practice until my voice kind of dies out. And I'm trying very hard to not use like my full power every time we practice and we rehearse. But my English teacher just keeps going, power through, you gotta. She said, you gotta be more like this, you gotta be wrong. And I'm like, I'm gonna save it for the actual show. I got this. At this point, it was probably more rehearsal and more practice than me ever catching up to like my school academic subjects. And at this point I was just so tired, I remember clearly, and I was like, is this how the rest of my 2020 is gonna go? I'm just gonna keep going and never stop. And then the pandemic happened at March. The last storytelling English competition that I went to was at late February, which is very close. I couldn't imagine myself how I would be if I kept going. But long story short, that's how I discovered burnout. And the second point that I want to bring up, which is like the academic stress. Now, I cannot say that I was a dumb kid. My grades have always been okay. I'm good at math and English. And I've gone around to the point where like I know how to kind of like beat the system. Basically in like the basic middle school and high school subjects, exams, tests, all the complicated curriculums. I know ways to do it because it's basically just like you understand the concept first, the main general overall. It's like you downloading a blurred image, and then slowly but surely you try to make like each pixel of like the blurred image that you just download into like a high quality HD picture. And that's basically applies to every subject in the school. And this basically applies to real life too. If you actually understand the principles of studying and how your brain works, it gets easier. But anyways, that's my method of studying is obviously not the main concern of this. It's about time management and the workload of the school. Because sometimes it gets fucking ridiculous. The school that I went to prioritized social events and hangout events, school programs, competitions, rather than focusing on their students to excel academically. We are not given the time to develop our academic skills, yet they expect us to always excel whenever we go on this like science competition or academic competition, Olympiads. And it honestly truly baffles me. Now, that's like a personal rant, right? Because it's a case by case, and that's just in my case. But the thing that comes with academic stress is it leaves no room for your emotions. I kid you not, my mindset right now is that I feel like developing and fostering interpersonal, meaningful relationships. Like, as of speaking right now, I'm not like this all the time. It's like kind of futile and mundane if I don't get my shit together, you know? I feel like me as a human in this modern society, the way that we survive are very different than in the caveman age. Because now our brain associates the feeling of dying or being in danger as like missing a school assignment or getting socially outcasted or embarrassed in like a school environment setting or a social setting. That's why people have panic attacks. That's why they have anxiety attacks. Because if you kind of think about it, it makes sense. It is life threatening. If you are socially outcasted by your social circle or friend group, that means in your caveman brain that you're going to be alone. And if you're alone, you're more likely to die. And if you failed in school or you fail academically in general, that means you won't get your degree, you won't get your degree, you won't get your job. You won't get your job, you won't get any money, you got no bills to pay, and if you got no money, you die. And I'm just thinking about all these big thoughts, these very random but also like connected thoughts about how I feel and I think like the education system has failed us, not just in like the curriculum but also the methods in what they try to teach us. Because now the way my brain fucking works, because my brain continuously associate high school with stress, the way I relax and ease myself is by studying at home. Because literally when I go to school, I just do my thing, I just play. I just hang out with my friends because I don't want to deal with that academic bullshit. And it's very counterintuitive on how this thing ended up actually working for me. Like just the other day, I was doing like a final thesis kind of thing. I don't know if you would call it a thesis, but I was just doing a presentation on like the subject is sociology, on how I think that kids should be taught by the curriculum about how the legal justice system works in Indonesia and how they can defend themselves and have a lawyer. Because God forbid, for now, they have this subject called PKN, or basically civic education. Yes, I just Googled it. And they keep blabbering on, yapping on about human rights for the last 3 years of me going into high school. Yet I don't even know that my own country has like an organization for legal aid in case you actually get in trouble. Because human rights is just like so universal, right? But when it comes to the law and the justice system, we are not giving the tools and the knowledge to battle these things to defend our rights. And that's just one example. I don't get why universally I feel like school just doesn't teach you the knowledge that you necessarily need to survive in real life. I mean, in America, people constantly complain on how school doesn't teach you how to pay taxes. But this is just what I'm saying, you know, like I know this rant is all over the place and it's just something related around school and academic and study method, but it really is shitty. Because I guess I want to add this one more thing that school doesn't teach us properly is how to study correctly and intuitively. I didn't get my method of studying effectively from school itself. I get it from the internet. The Pomodoro concept, the flow state, the focus state. These are the things that I have to learn by myself. Because the culture that school creates is just kind of like you are an employee in like a factory. Imagine if you think about it, 5 days a week, six hours. That's like a lot of time someone has to be in one place, especially if you're just sitting at the same spot in the same place and then you have to stress over whatever task they give you and like this paper thing for like 6 hours. Okay, yeah, maybe including break, but for most of the time you just have to do work in the same exact spot. How do people not get sad and depressed over this? How do people not get stressed or frustrated over this? For most cases that I know, school doesn't really integrate kind of like, of course, I think I'm kind of like excluding China from here, physical fitness and well-being integrated into the curriculum and the system. I mean, maybe in some cases, in some school, they do it at least once a week and they also have PE. But for the most part, it is not something that, you know, school teaches to us daily. And that's why the academic stress phenomenon is a thing. Because truth be told, right now, what I'm fucking thinking right now is I don't care about anything outside of my academic life. If If you watch my previous video before, you know that I'm preparing for a very important exam in case I got rejected to the university that I want. Academic stress has made me to be some kind of like pretty much apathic person. Because right now I'm in survival mode. Right now I cannot do shit. I really cannot focus on anything else except this one thing. Because I really need to survive. Does that make me an asshole? Quite possibly, sure. Do I feel guilty about it because it has made me to be kind of like an apathic person as of lately? Yes, slightly, maybe. But I'm not gonna stop because this is my life. This is what I want right now. And I've always known myself to be someone that's very ambitious and competitive when it comes to academic. Which is why I tell this video I have kind of like a love-hate relationship for it. Because even though it gave me a lot of pain, I grow from the pain. That sounds very cheesy. That's all I got for you today, my little all over the place rant. I'm hoping to do more of these, so see ya.